Yes, sir.
Is Brother Ben here? Brother Ben. Now, Ben got a heck of a program. A lot of people listening to Brother Ben. And Ben tells them about the minister. And Ben tells them about the minister.
Assalamu alaikum, family. Can you all hear me and see me? Let me know if you all can hear me
Yes, sir.
and see me.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, who we believe came in the person of Master Father Muhammad. And we thank him for raising up for us the living and exalted Christ, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I thank those two for leaving in our midst of divine warner and guide. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. It's in their three names. I would like to greet you all with the greeting words of peace we said in the Arabic language of Assalamu alaikum. Today, we want to discuss something that I think many of us probably are dealing with just in 2024, maybe period. Is there anything that anybody in here needs to overcome? Pressing number 3 of you, if through in your life there's something that you want to overcome in your life, something that you just, man, little struggle, you know what I mean? It's a struggle. You know, it's something I'm striving for and I ain't got there yet. I say it's something that's been in my way, man. I gotta overcome this thing. So we're gonna hear from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan speaking about, okay, somebody said overcome procrastination. Okay, so we got many things that we have to overcome. So today I want you all, how many of y'all are here for your very first time? Press the comment the word me. If you're here this morning for your very first time, comment the word me. This probably will be a 2-part series because this lecture is about 2 hours, so we're not gonna be here for the whole entire lecture because we do want to give feedback. So today we're gonna tune in for an hour. Make sure you take notes. Make sure that you think about some things that stands out for you personally, so that you can potentially share it at the end, so that we can learn from you as well. So anybody here for your very first time? Okay. All right, y'all. So everybody who's tuned in, we got to get back on our fishing now. At least bring one person with you. Hey, man, come check this out in the morning, man. Hey, man. Yeah, get you one person on here, man, that can learn and grow with us. But let's get to it. All right. Lecture called We Are the Overcomers. This is from 1991. Still relevant, but this is from 1991. Let me get this on my screen. Let's see here. Here we go.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, the one God to whom all praise is due, the Lord of the worlds, who came to us in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, to whom praise is due forever. We thank him over and over again for raising up in our midst a divine leader, teacher, and guide. Not just a messenger from himself, but the Messiah, the long sought after one that would come to deliver the people that were lost. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I greet all of you, my dear brothers and sisters, with the greeting words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language, the language of our fathers. Assalamu alaikum. To Minister Ishmael and the laboring staff, and to each and every one of you who are present at Mosque Mariam, it always is a pleasure to come home. It is a joy. When I come out, I'm coming because I'm inspired to do so. As I go about my daily tasks, things are communicated to me that literally force me to come to see you. And this is why I'm here today, and I look forward to seeing all of you on Wednesday. There are two messages that I wish to impart. The one today is inspired, and also the one Wednesday. Today's subject is taken from the Holy Quran. A very simple sentence. We are the overcomers. We are the overcomers. Whenever there is something to be overcome, there is a test of will, a test of strength, a test of our ability to persevere in spite of difficulty. Whenever the word overcome is used, it means there is a battle going on. Peace brings the best out of us, but war tests the fiber of the human spirit more than anything else. God ordains struggle, for without struggle, one of our great leaders said, there is no progress. Struggle is ordained. We are the overcomers. This lecture was inspired by my thinking of our teenagers, our young people, who have to battle influences that neither their parents or grandparents ever had to deal with. And if our teenagers, our young people, can overcome by understanding that they are actually in a battle and then preparing themselves properly for the battle. It's not just the teenagers, though. If you're 90 years old today, you're in a battle. It is all of us who are engaged today, if we're conscious, in struggle. We are the overcomers. As I was thinking of our young people, of whom I'm one, a little humor is always good. When I was thinking of our young people and thinking of the tremendous influence of filth that surrounds their development, as well as our own. I thought about the tremendous struggle that every teenager has to go through with just to keep sane in this world. Imagine if that teenager is connected to some moral teaching or is morally conscious, then the struggle is even more intense. So a Muslim teenager, if that Muslim teenager sincerely believes in what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is teaching, is in the battle of his or her very life. Not to think of your parents, they are in a struggle too. Not to think of the mature men and women who are trying to make it in this world. We are all engaged in struggle. But the Quran says we are the overcomers. Satan is so powerful. His means and method employed in a highly technological world is far greater than anything any prophet or messenger of God has ever had to deal with. So to even think profit today is to think loss. That wasn't meant to be a pun, but it sounds good. I'm going to say it again. To think profit, meaning Moses or Jesus or Muhammad, is to think loss. To think God is to be a part of the victory. If you're going to follow your prophet and subtly associate your prophet with God or your messenger with God in a way that you make your prophet or your messenger the focal point of your worship rather than God, to whom and for whom the messenger was leading you, then you will be overcome. In fact, you already are overcome. The very thought that you would associate a rival or a partner with God has put you in a position to be a loser. Your loved ones cannot save you. Your powerful leadership that you admire cannot save you. Your husband, no matter how strong and intelligent, cannot save you. Your mother cannot save you. There is no refuge today in anyone for us but in Allah, God. And when we seek refuge in Him, then we can say we are a part of the we who are the overcomers. But if you take the material things of the world or the flesh that we admire or the comforts of this life for a God beside God, if we take our low desires and make them a God beside God, we have already been overcome. There is not a prophet of God who ever appeared at any time on this earth whose community has not been overcome. I'll start with the Muslims. The Muslims are overcome. The Christians are overcome. The Jews are overcome. The Buddhists, the Hindus are overcome. Why do I say that? If we understand the meaning of the word overcome, it means to get the better of in a struggle, or to prevail over opposition, temptation, to overpower or overwhelm in mind or body, to gain the victory, to win, to conquer. To be overcome is to be defeated, to succumb to weakness. The Muslim world has been overcome. The Christian world has been overcome. The world of Jews has been overcome. Overcome by whom? The hidden force of Satan has come into the mosque, the synagogue, the church, and overpowered the preachers, overpowered the teachers, overpowered the sheikhs, the mullahs, the cardinals, the popes, the grand wizards. They all have been overcome. And the sad thing is, they don't even know they've been overcome. The overcoming has been so subtle and so skillful that Satan has made the church, the mosque, the synagogue a part of his own plan, while they think they are planning salvation for the people. Farrakhan, how could you make a statement like that? Let's reason and see. Have you noticed that as long as the prophet was with his community, he kept his community in relative unity and strength? The moment the prophet either went to the mountain or died or went away, Satan got his community scattered, divided through envy, jealousy, enmity. So today, the Christians are divided against self. The Muslims are divided against self. The Jews are divided against self. Why? They were not so when Jesus was present. They were not so when Muhammad was present. They were not so when Musa or Moses was present. Peace be upon these worthy servants of God. But it is so today. They have been overcome. Evil is actually the order of the day. I mean, to pick up a newspaper, the Chicago Defender, and read where a mother and her 11-year-old daughter are killed. For what? It is alleged that the 11-year-old girl was raped, and there was going to be some testifying, and the mother of the alleged rapist and the family is alleged to have killed this woman and her 11-year-old daughter. You pick up the paper, mothers just locking the children in closets. Mothers burning their children in ovens. Mothers leaving their newborn children in trash bins. What is the matter with us? we have been overcome. Let us go back to the beginning of this kind of struggle. And of course, the struggle began when God created himself out of triple darkness, then went to war with the darkness out of which he created himself to produce a universe of light. Struggle, light against darkness. There always has been struggle. And anytime your life is free of struggle, you're not living. If you are struggling, you want to win. Don't you want to win? Who likes to be a loser? How can you win? You can only win if you can say, like the Quran, we are the overcomers. If you can say that, you're a winner. If you can prove it, rather, you are a winner. The struggle I want to talk about is the struggle that started in the garden. Now, don't think that I'm talking about Bible. I'm talking about life. Because the pictures in the Bible, though the scholars have really messed it up, they are beautiful pictures. God loves to instruct us through pictures. The prophets used things in creation to tell deep truths. Jesus is known for his parables where he used things of nature to describe spiritual truths. Because when you're teaching spiritual children, you must give them pictures. Now, picture this: a man in a garden, made or created by God, and placed in a garden and given these orders. Of all of the trees in this garden, eat freely. But here's a tree in the midst of the garden. I don't want you to eat the fruit thereof. Why? This tree is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Don't eat the fruit of that tree. The day you eat it, you will surely die. Isn't it strange that whenever your parent or someone tells you not to do something, you kind of feel like, I just want to do this thing just because you told me not to do it. There's something in human nature that makes you attracted to the very thing you are commanded to deny. Have you ever noticed that? You got friends, and your mother tells you, I don't want you to play with so-and-so, he's not good. Find yourself playing with him more. Or as a young lady, you take up with a young man, and your mother says, no, he's not the right man for you. And you say, well, what do you know? You know what I mean? You just been living here a few days longer than me. What do you know about this young man that I like so much? I don't want you seeing him anymore. Do you understand? Yes, ma'am. Then the sneaking is going on. I just got to see him now. Why you gotta see him? Because mama told me don't see him. That's why I gotta see him. So if you want to encourage people to do something that they shouldn't do, just tell them don't do it. Seems like the mind works that way. There's something, even with children. You tell a baby, don't do that. You see the little hand looking, you know. I'm sure Allah was aware of that when he told the boy, don't eat. He was not attracted to any other tree but the very one he was commanded not to eat from. Why? Because when you say no, you set up the polarity. Yes to this, no to that. Well, I am yes, this is no, therefore there's an attraction between me and no. So me and no now are locked in a battle. Am I going to do the no, or I'm going to do the yes? And more than likely, I'm going to do the no. Because now I'm in a battle. Should I not? Must I not? And then the battle is raging, and then I come up with every kind of reason why I should do this. Until I'm overcome. My own curiosity and my own attraction to the no makes me want to say yes to no and experience what my parents or my teachers tell me I should leave alone. So Adam eats of the fruit and something happens. And then God drives him out of the garden. Now, there's a point that I'm driving at. Trees don't have knowledge, do they? Of either good or evil. A tree, if you pardon my language, ain't nothing but a tree. But trees are significant. Trees have the capacity to live, some of them, long time. 1,000, 1,200 years. Trees take in carbon dioxide, and trees give off oxygen, which we need. So wherever there's a tree, and many trees, the air is generally purer. Trees can stop the erosion of the land. Trees rooted properly, fed properly, grow, and then their branches spread in all directions. And if you look at the branches of a tree, they go in a 360-degree circle. And you can find shade under the tree, and some bear fruit. The tree that men are invited to is the tree of life. This tree in the midst of the garden was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to us, since trees don't have knowledge of either good or evil, this tree is a human being possessed of these two knowledges. that he can use the knowledge of good to attract the good, and the knowledge of evil to deceive the good into the doing of evil. Huh? The fruit of that kind of tree is not a good fruit, because it leads to the doing of all manner of evil, but we do it from the vantage point mentally that it's okay. Because evil is made fair seeming to us. Because the person who knows good and knows evil can use the knowledge of good to deceive us, then make evil look good. So that we're doing evil thinking that we're doing good, not able to discern the evil anymore. That's a heck of a tree. Many of us are engaged in evil acts and don't even realize consciously that we're doing wrong. It's really sad. Destroying yourself, and if somebody points it out to you, say, look, nigga, mind your business. You know what I mean? I ain't doing nothing wrong. I'm not doing nothing wrong. And if you were to examine the things that you and I do and say against the criterion or the standard of human behavior laid down by God in his moral law, then you would find that 80% of what we think is off. 80% of what we do is wrong. Maybe 10% of what we do and think is right. How did we get so messed up? We ate of the wrong tree. In our lessons, Master Farad Muhammad says, why does he fear now that he's a big man? Because the devil taught him to eat the wrong kind of food. You mean food can inspire fear? Fear is an emotion that restricts our ability to think and act beyond the object of our fear. You mean food can inspire fear? Yes. Yes. That is not my subject. I'll just throw it out there for you to consider. Allah says in the Quran, we are to eat no meat over which Allah's name is not remembered. Why? Why is that? These are not our creatures. These are the creatures of God. God gives man rights over creation. But when you take the life of an animal, you must do it in the way of God and in the name of the God who created that life and gave it in service for your life. To take a chicken by the neck okay, get it and let's eat it. Unwise. You didn't remember God and you killed it in an unmerciful way. So when you snatch it by the neck, it wants to live just like you. It releases into its own system those poisons that allow it to struggle against death, which is the enemy of life. So the meat that you're eating is the meat of fear. And then you wonder why you are scared to death people, because you have been eating foods improperly slaughtered. You're running after the pig with a club in your hand. Hit it in the head once. Mop! It's not dead. You keep, and he's squealing. And you just beating it. Then you turn around and eat it. And you're eating the poison produced in its system through fear. Why does he fear now that he's a big man? Because the devil taught him to eat the wrong kind of food. Well, not only does your stomach digest food of fear, but the mind digests ideas that produce fear. Are you listening? Now, I want to come back to our struggle today. Satan has overcome every prophet in his community. And I thought about the mosque. And I thought about the young Muslims. They come to the mosque when they can, if they wish. Ma, you going to the mosque today? The Bears are playing. And there's some bears roaming the community. And they ain't playing. The Bears are playing. I don't want to go no more. I don't want to sit up here no lecture. You talk too long. I mean, it would be all right if he could just say it, in an hour. I can get back to my TV stories or whatever. So if you come to the mosque and you don't even bring to the mosque a mind to learn, then you are not getting the food that will enable you to fight the forces that are against the very life that you say you want to lead. I looked at the mosque and I said, the mosque is failing. Wednesday night is a meeting. Friday is a study group. Sunday, there's a mosque meeting. What are you being taught on Wednesday? What are you being taught on Friday? What are you being taught on Sunday? And is it enough to equip you to deal with what you have to deal with out there? And my answer is, I don't think so. I don't think so. I actually think that as Muslims, we're being overcome. How do you know that? You see it in the actions of our young people. You see it in the actions of the elders. You see it in the actions of the leadership. We are being overcome. We take the mosque as a joke almost. We take the mosque like, well, the Christians go to their service, I'm going to mine. It's fine, glad you're here. But what's your purpose for coming? And what's my purpose for coming? My purpose for being here is not to hear you applaud and say Allahu Akbar. I mean, that was nice when I was a youngster. Applause fascinates us, Approval fascinates Negroes. But it's irrelevant to me whether you approve or not. Thanks to Allah, I've grown past that. When I come out, I want to feed you that which will inspire you to do something with your life and to give you that knowledge that will enable you to survive until the next time I see you without being overcome. You're in a war, whether you know it or you don't know it. The white man is not playing, brothers and sisters. His world is coming down, and the white man does not intend to lose. He's a powerful enemy. He wears down the strugglers. He beats them up from vantage points that they know not. He attacks in the nature of us. He makes mischief with the created things of God. He's a formidable enemy. With all due respect to all of my Muslim brothers, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, did not have to deal with what we have to deal with today. Jesus did not have to deal with what we have to deal with today. There was evil in the world when Jesus was here. There was evil in the world when Moses was here. There was evil in the world when Noah was here. There was evil in the world when Muhammad is here. But evil has come full grown now. You are born in an evil world that the prophets were overcome by. And the evil that overcame them, if God did not help the prophets, not one of them would have made it. They knew how to be a part of the overcomers. That knowledge you must get today if you want to be a winner. I did not take up this mission to be a loser. I did not and do not enter into any struggle with the thought that I am going to lose. You take a negative attitude, well, I'm not going to win, then you've already lost. But if you go into the struggle saying, I don't go into this struggle alone, go ahead. Well, you're lost if you go in alone. Because the enemy is not going in alone. He's coming with everything he can muster. We have to bring to the struggle the power to win. I hope you are following me. My dear young people, and to your parents, the economic situation in the country is so bad that those of us who have a job, we have to work. Mom and dad usually have to work. What time do you spend with your children teaching them, and how effective is your teaching? Parents, come on. How much time did you spend this week with your teenager or your young person? How much time did I spend with mine? None. None. Mine are off in college. So my influence in Chicago may not reach to my son in South Carolina or my daughter in Alabama. Sometimes children, when they leave your house, they're so glad to get out from under your influence. Particularly if you are one of these parents that look like you just want to hold your child and don't know how to hold them. They're so happy when you go to work. You going to work, Mom? You are? Good. And when you go to work, somebody's minding your business. Who? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us that Master Farad Muhammad, his teacher, said that one day we would be entertaining the devil in our living room. We not only entertain him in our living room, we have him in most rooms of the house. Wherever we go, we gotta have the TV with us. Where you going? I'm going in the den. What for? Watch TV. Where you going? I'm going to bed. What are you taking the TV for? Well, I'm taking it to bed with me. I mean, you don't put the TV in the bed with you, but you got it on. That's how you fall asleep. Now, when you do this, you are subjecting yourself to whatever the influence is that is feeding you. You don't pick up a book, certainly not a Quran. Please. Quran, what's that? If you try to read it, I'm talking to our young people now. If you try to read it, it's too difficult. It's not a funny book. It's not a comic book. Maybe if it were more cartoon-like. So the white man is busy making Bibles with cartoon, pictures for children. Because he got to get his message over to a mind that gotta grasp it right then. We ain't got time to read no book and come to conclusion. Give it to me quick. Don't put the news on, because that's the church of what's happening now, and that's real. I don't want to deal with reality. Give me the foolish movies. But there is no movie that's foolish. There's no cartoon that's foolish. The writers of these programs have a point in mind. You are not familiar with the writer. You don't know what the aim of the writer is. So you subject yourself and you're being bombarded. Boom, 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 boom. You look at the TV today. When I was a young entertainer, when I got on television to do my songs, they would only focus the camera on my chest and my head, because any body movement that might have been the slightest bit suggestive was forbidden. When my mom came along, to see a woman's ankle in America was shameful. But by the 20s, they were going with bathing suits that you would laugh at today. But in the 20s, that was a horror story. To see a woman with one-piece bathing suit on that literally was like these bicycle things that they use today, but not quite as tight as that. It wasn't that at all. In the roaring 20s, brother, that was scandalous. If those who were around in the 20s could see the bathing suits today with a string, just a string, the whole buttock out, you couldn't believe that you would see something like this 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Today, this is on TV. Today, women bare-breasted, you see it on TV. Most explicit sex scenes are on TV today. Look, Sick people have sex and invite an audience. Come in, I want to show you something. Sex is so private, even a child who is experimenting with sex will try to find some dark corner somewhere out of the view of the mother and the father to experiment. But today, the bedroom is open. Come in, inspect this thing. The movies are shameless, low down filth. The language is atrocious. But our children are exposed to this more than they are exposed to any teaching of right. So the children and we, their parents, are like people eating the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil. I want you to think about this now. Because when you come to the mosque, what you hear is right. What you subject yourself to when you leave here is whatever you subject yourself to. And your feeding is more evil than good. Come on. If man is what he eats by what he puts in his stomach, what are we by what we put in our minds? Let's not use labels. I am a Christian. That's too easy. To be a Christian means to be Christ-like. Shut up. Shut up. There's hardly anybody in the world who is Christ-like. Some of you who call yourselves Christians, y'all all right? Yes, sir. If we challenge you on Christ's deportment, demeanor, mission, work, you couldn't hardly show us one thing that you're doing that is Christ-like. Man, that's heavy. That is really serious. But we glow in the label, I'm a Christian. But what really are you? I'm a Muslim. What does that mean? Huh? One who submits to do the will of God. What is the will of God? I don't know. Well, how can you submit to do a will that you know nothing about and are unwilling even to study what God wills? Talk to me. That becomes a label, isn't it? Like Adidas, Nike. Huh? So we wear these labels, and you know how y'all go and buy suits? A label. Buy these hot garments. Not hot that they're stolen, I mean hot in the sense that Air Jordan, he says such and such and so on. So now you got your little pump-up shoes, nearly $200 with a little gadget to pump air into a shoe. Damn. You know, we are messed up, brothers and sisters. A little boy was on TV He said, if I could get you the same thing minus the label, would you get it? He said, for what? It's the label, man. It's the label. When I look at this, brother, I'm telling you, we're just about overcome. Your teaching almost sounds foolish to young people. They don't have no time for this. They don't want to be bothered with this. Why? Because you're feeding from another source. And what you're being bombarded with is so against what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and God are trying to bring up in you that it really is not even a struggle. Our young people have already been overcome. They're just about gone. 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 Well, what about us, the parents? Gone. And white dress ain't saving nobody, man. You can make it long, long, long. You can have it dragging the floor. It looks righteous, but what's in it? These beautiful uniforms ain't saving nobody, brother. It looks good, it really looks nice, yo. Brothers got the sun, moon, and star up on their shoulder. That really is impressive. That flag represents submission, obedience to the divine law. How many of us that wear that insignia in a ring or on our shoulder or in our lapel are striving to be obedient to the will of God? Hardly none, I say. Just about overcome. Shiny face, you know, with baby oil. I'm following Allah, you understand? I'm eating one meal a day. And I'm doing a little exercise now. That's good, that's very good. What about your head? What about your heart? Where are you feeding and who's feeding you? Turn on the rap music. What am I hearing? Slang words I gotta ask teenagers, what does that mean? And when they tell me, if they tell me, my mind is blown. This is what they're saying on records today? And we know all the raps. Come on. It's catchy, isn't it? But if the food that you're eating is not a good, clean, wholesome food, then you become what you eat. And if you're eating filth, you become a swine. Human pigs. The battle ain't going on. Now there's some of us that really want to be Muslims, really want to be Christian, really want to be right. Some of us really want right. Ooh, we are in a heck of a fight. Because wrong, the influence of wrong is so great that if God does not become real in your life, you don't even have what it takes to win the fight.
Ooh-wee. The influence of wrong is so great. If God don't become real in our lives, we don't have what it takes to win the fight. Man, go ahead and press the number 1 if you have anything that stands out for you. Press the number 1 if you have anything that stands out for you today. Man, you should have a few notes or a lot of notes that you can share. One of the first things that stood out for me is the minister said, he said, your loved ones cannot save you. Your leadership cannot save you. Your husband, your mother cannot save you. There is no refuge in anyone for us but Allah God. When we seek refuge in Him, we can see we are a part of what we then are a part of the overcomers in Him. So again, a couple days ago, I was speaking about like, what does it mean to seek refuge in Allah? We got to get in that word. We got to understand His word, the way that He moves. It says in scripture that His ways are not our ways. His thoughts is not our thoughts. Our actions have to elevate. Our thoughts have to elevate. How can we seek refuge in that which in that which we don't know? How can we seek refuge in that in which we don't study? Many of us would like to seek refuge in many things. But what we must seek refuge in, as the minister saying, is seek refuge in Allah. Those last 2 chapters of the Quran, the minister advises us to read. So it won't be your husband. It won't be your wife. It won't be your mother. So we have to be careful making them gods besides Allah. Are they gods, little g gods? Absolutely. But worthy of worship and think that we can depend on them to save us from this wicked world? Nah, that comes from a personal relationship, an intimate relationship with the Supreme Being. That's where that's going to come from. So if we're not doing that work to become one with He who originated the heavens and the earth, and specifically who came in the person of Master Father Muhammad to us to give us a knowledge for the times that we in, and His messenger who was raised up for us to deal with the time period that we are in. If we're not listening to His mouthpiece in modern time that's given us the time and what must be done, then we off time, and time dictates the agenda. So the minister recently said that the war of Armageddon has begun. What does that mean? What does that mean for us? What should we be doing? What should be, how should we prepare? How do we fight? How are they going to come after us? How are they already coming after us? Is there a mind war? What does the battle in the sky really mean? Does the scripture say, hey, we war not against flesh and blood? What does it mean by principalities and spiritual wickedness in high places? Satan makes evil fair seeming. How is that being done in modern times? See, if we're not analyzing this and thinking about these things, we're losing. We're not overcoming. We're losing. And then I'll end with this. The minister says, we come and we meet on Wednesdays and Fridays and Sundays, right? To deal with what's going out there. He said, he said, is it enough to deal with what's going out there in the world? What was the minister's answer? The minister said, no. No. So like they go to the church, we go to our mosque, we go to our study group, but the minister is telling us it's not enough. So if we think going on Wednesday, going on Friday, going on Sunday, my attendance is great, everybody else is hypocrites, well, guess what? What you doing still ain't enough. What we're doing maybe still ain't enough. That means there has to be an increase, not just in the structure that we have, but there has to be an increase in study. There has to be an increase in action and myself, obviously, outside of those time periods that we've been given in order to fight the Satan of this world. So those are some things that stood out to me. Let's go to Brother Ty L. Is that how you say it correctly? Let me unmute. Let me unmute. You should be good now.
You remember it's
Sister Ty L. I'm sorry. Sister Ty L.
Yes. Greetings and good morning. Grand right. I'm on the train, so it might be a little noisy. Yet what stuck out the most to me, what the minister said, was in regard to the animals that are not to be eaten due to the... Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's a little background, a little loud, but we can hear you.
What I was talking about with the animals, that how they are killed and what happens when you ingest it. That's what stuck out the most since last time we spoke about the whole "don't eat meat." You played that video and it was for...
No, I can't hear you now.
I was saying it was very connecting how you played last time, the "don't eat meat, don't smoke," and then the minister today was saying about the meat. When you eat it, what happens, what you get, that fear, which is given off. Also a lot of other things, but mainly that fear that you get from the animal when you do eat it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. You actually just made me think about something. Man, this is deep now that I think about it. The minister said that the English, our English lesson C1 says, why does he fear now that he's a big man? Because the devil taught him to eat the wrong foods. Now the minister broke that down. That is spiritual, well, physical and spiritual, right? There are chickens, there are foods that are being killed the wrong way. So you know how we have adrenaline when something scary taking place and we got that adrenaline rush and that's that fear. So if they're being killed the wrong way and that fear, that those chemicals that are released inside the body with that fear, if that's what's happening as the food is being killed, we are eating those things. So those chemicals go into us and it leads us to fear. But my mind just took it a step further for me. On the spiritual side, what is the condition of the person who you are taking food from? Not just bad food as in a bad word, but what is the condition of this human? Is this human dissatisfied who I'm learning from? Is this human affected by someone and the information that they're giving you is tainted because of what's going on inside of them? So you're not getting a pure word like we wouldn't be getting a pure food because the person who we receiving it from is dealing with something. They don't got the clear vessel yet. They not all, you see what I'm saying? So if you taking advice and you're taking, the mindset and you're taking a word from someone who is dissatisfied, low self-esteem, or feeling a certain type of way, that word is that seed that you receive from them is gonna have a little bit of that on it. Yeah, it's gonna have a little bit of that on there. See, it's kind of like when we're looking online and we seeing relationship talk. When we see online, when we are talking to certain people and they have this view of the black woman or this view of the black man, it may sound good, but that person really done been hurt by a black man. That person really done been hurt by a black woman. So the food that they giving us is filled with the pain that they have not been able to deal with yet personally. Damn, boy, woo-wee. But man, that's good. So we gotta be careful, not just of the food we eat. We have to be careful, man, of the chicken that they came from. Gotta be careful of the chicken that they came from, the spirit that they came from. And we should ask ourselves, here go the ultimate question. Is this spirit, is this word that I'm coming from, is it from God or the devil? Because you can eat both words. You can eat both actions that you take. You may be able to justify what you said here, what you did here, but which one is from God? Think about it. Think about how we respond to things. The way I responded to this, was this of God or would this reflect devil? And this thought process that I have, this response that I have, who did I get it from? See, now we got to go back into our life now. Who did I get this from? Well, I don't like this nigga and no new friends. Who is that from? Who is that from? No new friends. Because I thought that we was taught friendship of all walks of life. See? Well, if I son, so I cut the nigga off and forget him. Whose spirit is that from? Is that the spirit of a redeemer, a savior? Is that the spirit of atonement? Is that the spirit of reconciliation? Where you get that response from? Throw them niggas away. Where that come from? See, so then we got to start going back. Damn, where is that thought from? Where did that thought come from? Where did that spirit and that response come from? See, who fed that to me? Who maybe gave me an evil suggestion? See? Damn, yeah, you can't believe you talking to him? Damn, you atoning with her? I guess. See, look, it's an evil suggestion. It's slick. I guess. Now you're thinking, damn, am I wrong for? Am I? See? But is God want to forgive? Reconciliation? Atonement? See, we gotta start looking in our own heads and say, whoa, damn, boy, where you get that thought process from? Who did you get that thought process from? So I'm just saying we gotta check ourselves, man. So you made me think about, man, when I'm receiving food, yes, physical food, yes, spiritual food, but then the person, if that person had fear, if I have a teacher that's teaching me out of fear, they call it fear mongering, right? You fear what's about to happen. You fear the white man. So all you feed me is fear of the white man. You ain't teaching me the knowledge of myself. You're not showing me how powerful I am. You're not teaching me the fact that black excellence will overcome white supremacy. See, you're not teaching me from that perspective. You teaching me on, man, it's over. We doomed. It ain't no way out. See, damn, that's because you fear. You ain't got no faith in Allah. You ain't seeking refuge in the God. So everything that you teaching me is going to be taught from an angle that's going to lead to more fear. So I got to be careful of eating of that type of food from you. Oh, man. Ooh, that was for me. That was a realization for me, y'all. All right, let's go to Brother Daniel. Brother Daniel 6X.
Thank you, great brother. You just added another thought to what I was going to say. I was going to deal with the fight that the minister opened up with, that the originator had to fight against the darkness. And he said, we all got to fight and struggle. Then he went to the other word, which is feed. What are we feeding from, spiritually and physically? But now with your commentary, I also have to include fear, because fear keeps us from the fight. And fear keeps us from changing the food in which we eat. The originator was in war with the darkness. He hated the darkness. He didn't fear it. And if fear did come up, he definitely challenged it, and he went to war. And he overcame, first as a light of himself. Then after creating the second self, he created the sun and banished darkness. I was looking at Study Guide 4, the struggle for balance. And when I looked up the word struggle, it contained the word a fierce fight, a grapple against that which you're fighting against. So I realized that the struggle and fight is all the same. We got to fight. And if I don't fight, then as the minister said, instead of being an overcomer, I have been overcome. And he made it clear that at this time, most, and I'm not excluding myself, have been overcome, not the overcomers. But he made it clear that the way to be the overcomer is to take the examples of the prophet. But now we have one greater than the prophets. We have the fulfiller of the prophets in our midst. And it made me think about, I have to be one who take on something that helps puts me in line of overcoming. I have to take on a mission, because fighting for little individual things, it's not big enough. It's the mission and being connected to the God who gave the mission to the two that's going to help me get in that fight. And when I thought about the food, he gave examples about being wedded to the TV, being wedded to those forces that's feeding us fear, that's feeding us filth, that this allows us to eat the proper food. So he's literally telling us why we're being overcome. As you mentioned, dear brother, we eat the wrong foods, spiritual and physical foods. And if we don't really understand the venues, the weapons that Satan is using to keep our mind wrapped around fear, to keep our mind wrapped around disobedience, and to be those who are overcome, then we're not going to win this fight. So we got to turn off the TV and turn on the messages. We got to get off the sites that's leading us toward filth and get on the sites like this one that's leading us toward righteousness and truth. I realized that I was spending more time engaged in that which was not in line with the God, and wondering why my thoughts is not changing. We are what we eat, and we are what we carry into practice. So if Satan is working 24/7 to get all except the purified ones, why do I think that I'm going to work during the meeting time?
You teach it.
Even just doing the time of prayer, or even just doing a few simple things, and think I'm going to overcome an enemy that's working 24/7 to get my mind. No, I got to put more time in to that, which will change my mind. And last but not least, that fear thing is very important, because I realized that there was a lot of internal fears, whether real or imagined. The fear of just speaking the truth, fear of losing friendship. Is it really friendship? Fear of losing those who I'm close to, because they're going in a different direction than I should be going in. And that fear made me compromise. And that compromise made me take in a food that's, like the minister said, with the tree, it's carbon monoxide. You being poisoned, but you don't know it, because you can't smell that type of gas, but you feel its effects. So as we're not to eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, once I come into this wisdom and knowledge, that tree is more prevalent, is more seen, because now I'm getting a greater light, which is shining light on that darkness. Now I got to make a decision, whether it costs me friendship, whether it costs me relationships, whether it costs me money. I got to make a decision where I am putting forth the best effort to save my own life. That's it for now, family.
Yes, sir. All right, we got Sister Cheryl. Or is it Sherelle?
Yes, sir. Assalamualaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Oh my God. It's a lot. I'm so thankful. I just wanted to thank you, Brother Daniel, that just got offline. As well as you, Brother Ben. Everybody on the call, actually, but specifically, you touched on so many things: the food we eat, the things we listen to and watch on TV, and most importantly, I think the idea that you're able to clarify for me, as well as I'm sure many others who are listening, the whole idea of the original God, which Brother Nuri mentioned. He lived 1,000 years, and then he planned for Master Muhammad to come about. And that is basically what I want to say is the exchange and the transfer, as we know in physics, of energy. It doesn't die. So whether it's in what we're listening to, if it's not good energy or bad food, the originator transferred his energy to Master Muhammad. So he has that knowledge, all of it. I in no way meant Brother Daniel to imply that there are two gods. It's just that you all both have helped me clarify it even more, that energy never dies. It's just transferred. So basically, that's all I want to say. And that applies to all aspects of our life. And absolutely, the fear restricts us. Well, we're going to have it come up, but we have to face it and overcome it. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Sister Farah.
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
So, what came to my mind actually was sparked when listening to Sister Tael and Brother Ben speaking on when the minister was speaking on like eating the wrong food and how that can affect the mind. What came to my mind was the minister said something like, "What is your spiritual food? What are you feeding your mind?" And I'm thinking about this more, even now that I'm growing a baby God at the moment in the womb. Whatever I feed into my mind right now is being imprinted onto the developing brain of my growing child. And I try to keep that in mind even more now, than ever. I recently listened to the lecture, How to Give Birth to a God, which speaks a little bit more on that. and how we have the God-given power as women to assist Allah in molding and shaping our children from the womb into what we envision them to be. So for which made me think of for my son and my daughter, they're both toddlers at the moment now. For each of them, I knew their gender before they were even born. I didn't know how, I don't know how, but before I even was able to see a an ultrasound or anything, I just had this strong feeling. I knew what they were. And I wonder now if that could have been because we create the child we desire really by what we feed our wombs. Um, we have that same power to bring forth into reality what we envision in our minds. And I wonder if that plays a part in shaping our children as well. We're taught that we have two wombs to protect as women, not just the one that carries, physical babies, but our minds, which carries your vision or your baby that if you feed it the right food, it can give birth to a God or it can give birth to a Satan if we're not careful. Um, you can give birth to a murderer, a liar, a cheater. So, it's we got to be careful what we're watching on TV. Really, we should get rid of the TVs, to be honest, while we're pregnant. Um, some of these crime shows we like to watch and reality shows, we don't realize how negatively it's affecting our minds, but it's the little subtle things, that plant seeds in our minds, that if we continue to feed it, will grow. And we have to get off of TV and social media. It's really not safe for our minds or our children's minds. And, there's nothing on there but, filth, violence, sexual scenes. And like I said, there's just little subtle, even the little subtle things we might not think of too much at the time, can grow into, what's the word? It'll just grow into something other than God in your mind. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Sister Yolanda?
Assalamu alaikum, family. As I think about I forget what the sentence is, but basically going to what we feed in ourselves. So as I come into the teachings and I'm learning about self and the God, whatever happened to me in the past, let me be cognizant of not continuing to feed that to myself when I'm triggered, when something comes up, or the behavior that I display. Let me not revert to, well, I'm this way because such and such happened to me a long time ago. When am I going to allow or let that go? Because darkness and light can't exist in the same space. So what progress am I making by letting fear, which is one of our glossary words for study guide that we're in now? I think we're in Building the Will Part 3, if I'm not mistaken, study guide 7. I could be wrong. But nevertheless, in me consuming new food that's nourishing for my body, I strive to not hold on to what I used to eat or what I have eaten or consumed. Let me say that word, consume, because I can't make progress and be stagnant at the same time. Let it go, Sister Yolanda. You coming into a knowledge, a new thing. So as I move forward and feed myself, the spiritual food, and as the minister mentioned that the Bible is not an easy read. I might be misquoting, and it's they turn it into a comic book. I look back at the Bibles that back in my family we have, and there are pictures in there. And I find it an easier read to read the Quran first and then refer to the Bible. As in Message to the Black Man, they have things where it will give us a ayat in the Holy Quran and a scripture from the Bible that are similar. So that fear, anxiety, impede, it was a few other glossary words I can't remember. So as I move forward, striving not to allow that fear from whatever happened before create that anxiety in me that would impede me from moving forward. And I look at the term that comes to my mind is let go and let God. Like really let it go. Why am I holding on? And I oftentimes ask myself, why do we hold on to what happened in the past? And it's so much ahead of us. So as I continue to strive, being on this my espresso shot, going to my Friday night study groups, let the weights fall off, Sister Yolanda. Let them fall off. And I feel much lighter. As an example you gave, Brother Ben, about doing auditing. You feel or look younger. So if I want to have those two postures, let me continue to strive and be cognizant of what I'm feeding myself and not allow myself to feed on the past. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Sister Randisha?
Yeah, so assalamu alaikum. So as everyone brought up great points, what came to my mind was that sometimes we have to lean not on our own understanding. But as we're talking about difficulty, as I'm looking at study guide 3, overcoming difficulty, I would like to give the definition. It says difficulty, the condition or fact of being difficult, something that is difficult as a hard problem or an obstacle or objection, trouble, distress, etc., or a cause of this. So then we already did difficulty, so now overcome. To get the better, or in competition, struggle, etc. Conquer, to master, prevail over, or surmount. To overcome obstacles. So when you think about that, in study guide 3, it says Allah has said in the Holy Quran that He has created man and woman to face difficulty. It is a general law of nature that as night follows day, likewise ease follows difficulty. Both the Bibles and the Quran teach us that struggle is ordained from man by Allah. And in the discussion, it says, why has Allah, God, ordained struggle for you and me? As I further read, it says that when we face difficulty, we struggle, we are forced to turn to the one God for help. On Him alone must we rely. It says, a man brings a people a beautiful message, but the Holy Quran says the message comes while they sport and play. Their hearts are trifling. Trifling, does that sound familiar? Are there not many of our people who are more interested in the football game on Sunday afternoon than hearing the minister lecture? Are they not more interested in sport and play than in the word, which might help them up out of their condition? And it says the lives of the prophet will cause us to see the ups and downs, ebb and flow of our lives when we are committed to a very consequential mission. This knowledge will not permit us to give up because of a temporary setback. Like the prophets, we will press on, knowing that the bitterness we taste in every setback is temporary and will be removed by the sweetness of the taste of the ultimate victory over all opponents to the rise of the Black people. The truth that Allah God revealed to us for our resurrection and the resurrection of the righteous will be established. And then one last thing that I do have to read, as I tell you that it is Get Fit Overcoming Difficulty by Sister Audrey Muhammad. And this is on August 7, 2007. And it says, when I cut my workout short one particular day, in which I didn't feel like increasing my workout intensity, I reflected on the above words, overcoming difficulty, which is also the title of the self-improvement study guide written by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. If we want to be successful, we cannot negate the fact that we will have to overcome difficulty. This is on page 59 of Minister Jabril Muhammad's book, Closing the Gap. Minister Farrakhan states, success in any period of time means the mastery of difficulty. The success that demonstrates the mastery of difficulty produces the ease that comes after difficulty. When ease comes, we are in a position of danger. The Holy Quran warns those of us who live the easy life because the life of ease take the struggle out of life. When we are so used to eating whatever we want and not exercising or not struggling, it will haunt us one day in the form of illness or disease. And lastly, if we become sick with disease, we are faced with a new difficulty. On the same page as above, Minister Farrakhan continues his statement about struggle. When one does not have struggle to know, when one does not have struggle to become successful, when one does not have struggle, then in that stage of development, one becomes comfortable. But another stage is becoming, which will cause us to face difficulty again. And it is the refusal to face the difficulty that accompanies change that leaves those in ease unwilling to struggle again. They get involved or caught up in a time warp, which then sentences them to death. So as I leave, a few things that stood out to me was when he was saying that, when your mother tells you that you shouldn't be doing this, or when your mother tells you about a man, and you continue whatever your mother or your parent or somebody of, that you value in your life tell you not to do, you do it. And I remember my mother telling me yesterday that I've never brought home a cat, a dog, a bird, or a fish, but I always brought home people. And I always, and she said, you always thought that you could repair people. And I always think about that as one of the difficult tasks is that sometimes I wear my heart on my sleeve. And also is, yesterday, something kind of disturbed me. And I was going to respond in a manner because it was difficult for me to swallow what was said. But as I think about it this morning and I look back on it, Allah said, silence is the key. But I had to lean on Him for my own understanding. So I just think about that. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Sister Sharon.
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Happy
Alaikum
Savior's
salam.
Day, everyone.
Happy Savior's Day.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. I got on a call when the minister was speaking about eating the wrong food. And during Ramadan, I had stopped eating chicken. But recently I went on a trip and I had some chicken and I had a nightmare. The next day I had more chicken. I had another nightmare. So I said to myself, I know what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said about eating meat or eating chicken. We have How to Eat to Live, a guide that was given to him by God for us to follow. And I've just been doing little studies to myself. And I'm like, every time I eat chicken, I have nightmares. And I know nightmares is fear. And we're taught that we should not fear. Allah didn't create us to fear or to worry. So, what is it that I need to do for myself? Strive to eat the right food. A simple diet given to me by God or given to us by God. I heard you talking about eating the wrong thoughts from other people. And we're taught to be careful of what we allow to enter our bodies or our minds. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan spoke about having God at the opening of our ear or having God at our ear to filter and discern what it is that we eat. There's so many thoughts that I have concerning, taking on what don't belong to me. Coming into the Nation of Islam, we're not the newcomers or new converts, or not even converts, newcomers. We're protected coming into the Nation of Islam because of the thoughts of other people. So the person or persons that's doing the orientation have a duty to cover the new believers. As for us not to be tainted by what others have coming out of their minds, although it may not be intentional for anyone to harm us by what it is that they say to us. Being in the Nation of Islam for the number of years that I've been in the nation, I'm learning to discern what it is that I receive unto myself. Is it difficult? Absolutely. Because I trust my brothers and sisters, and I don't believe that they would do anything intentional to harm me. However, what do I allow in that I don't harm myself? The sister spoke about being pregnant. The minister has given us a guide to how to give birth to a God. What it is that we eat physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. We have to pay attention to everything that it is that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has given to us, to me. He has never lied to me. So in him, there's no doubt. He is a guide, just as the Holy Quran speaks of. In that book, there's no doubt. It's a guide for us, the believer, the knowers. And until I get up on my feet, I'm like that baby that wobbles. Until we get on our feet, we're like the babies that wobble. Until we get our feet up under us. Our parents or our mothers protect us until a certain stage. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is in that position. It was another thought that I had. I have so many thoughts. And it's a beautiful thing that Master Farrakhan Muhammad came to save each and every one of us. I told myself that I wouldn't get emotional. Brother Ben, you spoke about us throwing each other away. We have the atonement process. We cannot build on an island by ourselves, surrounded by water, our own thoughts and our own minds. We have to have so much love, the love of God, the love of a mother for her child, to forgive. In order for us to grow into the God that we're supposed to be, we got a God set up. I mean, a class set up by our God, Master Farrakhan Muhammad.
How's my three students? How y'all doing?
We have a classroom that's set up by our God, Master Farrakhan Muhammad, for each and every one of us. We're not perfect, but we're the Muslims that we are in our own right, and we have to strive to be pleasing to Allah, Master Farrakhan Muhammad. Only to him, he's the judge. We got to keep fighting and striving and paying attention to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He warns us and then he guides us to the way where we're supposed to be. There's no other way. So I'm so grateful. And I thank Allah much for allowing me to still hold on in spite of, even when I kill his voice, murder his voice in me, the right voice. Do I still want to be a part of Satan's world? Or do I listen to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to stay on the right path, no matter how many obstacles come up, still fight in the way of Allah? And each step that I take, I thank Allah, Master Farrakhan Muhammad, for giving me the strength. We got to fight, believers and knowers. Nothing in this world, nothing at all. Things, we don't need things. We need each other and we need the love of Allah. Master Farrakhan Muhammad said everything will be added unto us, but we have to seek ye first the kingdom of God. And that's within ourselves so that we could continue to be that shining light for each other. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Praise be to Allah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Sister Tornisa?
Assalamualaikum, family. What I got out of it was when the minister was talking about trees have the capacity to live. You know, he gave us taking it. It takes an carbon dioxide. It gives out oxygens. Trees are pure air. It can stop the tree like branches in all directions. Um, he also talked about percentage, and he said 80% of what we think is what we think is wrong, and 80% things what we do is wrong. So then I went to the supreme wisdom and I thought about the percentage. You know, percentage is part of a whole, and we are whole people. But who is the 85%? The uncivilized people, poison animal eaters, slave from the mental, death, and power, people who do not know the living God or their origin in this world, and they worship that they know not what. And they worship that they know not what. Who are easily led in the wrong direction, but hard to lead in the right direction. Who is the 10%? The rich, the slave master makers of the poor, who teach the poor lies to believe that the almighty, true, and living God is a spook and cannot be seen by the physical eye, otherwise known as the blood suckers of the poor. And who is the 5% in the poor part of the earth? They are the poor righteous teachers who do not believe in the teachings of the 10% and are all wise and know who the living God is and teach that the living God is the Son of Man, the supreme being, the black man of Asia, and teach freedom, justice, and equality to all the human family of the planet Earth, otherwise known as the civilized people, also as Muslim and Muslim sons. So when we eat up the wrong food, what percentage of we're putting into our body? When we don't pray over our food, when they kill the animal in such harm ways. I went to culinary school. It totally made me stop eating meat. I was just disgusted. Um, how they brutalize the animals or make them stay in a certain place so that you can get the better or the tender part of the lamb, how they kill the chicken, how they cut the head of the snake off and suck the blood. It was just this, I just couldn't take it, you know. And so what are we eating? Are they praying over the food? And the answer is no, you know, and they slaughtering them, and you could feel it when you eat it. And so when I would, you know, bring people to the mosque or they would come to my hair salon, you know, I could tell, you had chicken yesterday? You know, because I'm studying hair, I'm a cosmetologist, and then I'm studying food, culinary student. And I'm studying the people when they come in there, and I can see the texture of their scalp. I can see their skin. I can see their demeanor when they come in, if they're angry or aggressive. And I'm like, you had chicken at gas last night? Girl, how you know? You know, it's because I could see it. I could smell it in they face or their skin. And so we're not eating up the wrong food. And then I did a program, you know, how to eat to live. And I had people talk on mental, physical, spiritual food, because food is not just a physical part that you put into your mouth. And so when you're putting that food into your mouth or putting that food into your brain, it changes the way you think, it changes the way you are. And, you know, I fall victim to that sometimes too, because then what I'm watching or what I'm listening to, you know, and sometimes when you down and out, you just don't grab on the right thing. So you have to ask Allah and pull on Allah and not on your own self and ask Allah to free you of this world, because we living in this man's world. This is not God's world. And so constantly we're being force fed, like they force feed the animals, this negative energy, this negative food, this negative spirit from the front of you, from the back of you, from the side and the left, the right. That's what the devil said he would come. And it is here. So we're not pulling on Allah and his teachings. It's going to hinder us. And how can we grow as a family to unite with one, with our God within ourselves? That's all I want to say. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Brother Tony.
Assalamu
Lake Salam.
Yes, sir. Beloved family, just wanted to chime in on this powerful lecture. Brother, I remember when the minister first did that lecture. Brother, it was almost 30-something years ago. And I was like, wow. Back then, I was comparing, what I was hearing, listening to the teachings coming from the Nation of Islam, and what I was hearing in the church, because I grew up in the church. My father, he pastors the church, so I was like, I'm gonna see how it differs, and it's amazing, brother. Because what I'm hearing the minister saying and what I'm hearing in the church is like two entirely different subject matters. I'm being taught that the white man is the devil, and in the church, they telling me that the devil is a little red character with a pitchfork waiting to stick you when you die and go to hell after you die. And I come to realize that the white man being the devil was actually sticking us while we was living right here on the earth, And I see how he take that tree that he was talking about in the garden out there, good and evil, and take good and use it to get the people to do evil. And saying that's how the devil has used deceptive intelligence to keep us disobeying the way of God. So the people have become just like the devil, Everybody running around finding excuses, for everything God say thou shalt not do. The devil tell you to go ahead and do it. And then we go ahead and do it and wondering why we ain't able to grow and develop into the guys that we're supposed to be because, the evil that has been made fast seeming has stunted our growth and development. So I just want to, chime in on that note, brother. Keep doing what you're doing, Brother Ben. You're doing outstanding work. And may Allah continue to bless you to grow and prosper into the God that he created you to be, dear brother. I got children older than you, and I've been trying to get them to hear this teaching for almost 30-some years, but this devil has been so effective in taking the knowledge, that they learned in schools, to use it against them where they still don't want to hear the truth. Even after it's been ringing in our ears for 30 and 40 years. So we just got to keep striving, brother. That's what I'm going to have to do myself because I know I got a lot of growing and developing to do myself. I still ain't where I need to be either. But may Allah continue to bless y'all, family. That's my take on today's lecture.
Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you, sir. Brother Daniel.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Brother raised a good point with the enemy, the devil. I got to go up to my son's school today and deal with a situation where I'm seeing what the minister said. The forces of evil that's coming at our children is such where they have been overcome. And then he said, we as parents have been overcome. So now I got to go up to the school and use the wisdom and the teachings to help one who did something very foul on social media against my son, but I still have to deal with that compassion and mercy where I make sure that this young man understands there's a God present, the Messiah, the great Messiah, and the Messiah that can help transform this situation. And I hope that I'm able to use the wisdom to do that. I'm not looking for the young man to be reprimanded or put out, but I'm gonna make that clear. Do not suspend this man and bring down the law on him for what he did. But let's find a way to try to reform our brother. I was thinking about something that Sister Yolanda said about our past. And what was coming to my mind is the value of Dianetics, because I can bury something in my conscious mind and put it so deep in my subconscious mind that it's affecting me beyond my awareness. So the importance of Dianetics is to bring up those leviathans, those demons that affect us, so that with our conscious mind, we can overcome it and close that chapter on our life where it no longer bothers us again. I can remember when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was talking about his fall. And he didn't understand why the nation had failed and all the work he did to help his teacher, he was lost at that time. And he said it wasn't until he asked the question why in his right mind did he begin to understand that it was Allah himself and Honorable Elijah Muhammad that orchestrated the fall of the nation that needed to be purified. So that's telling me that I have to use and come to the God and come to a reasonable understanding from what Allah would give me of why anything happened in my life. And until I take the teachings and go to the true and living God and get an understanding of why these things happen in me from birth all the way until now, then I haven't really solved the problem. I got to face that difficulty, deal with that difficulty, and go in that difficulty with the God and the two that he raised so I can come to a reasonable conclusion. And I'll close with this. It's just Satan and his host attacks us and sees us from which we see him not. He's wickedly wise. And the minister said, this white man ain't nothing to play with. He's not nothing easy to deal with. And he said in another message that he comes at the registered Muslim in a different way. He don't come straight at us. He come in the line of what we learn. And then he finds a way to whisper to get us off our path. So those in the straight path, we're not being come at in no simple way. He's coming at us in a wickedly wise way to where we might think it's good when it's not. As Brother Ben was saying, something was dropped in your ear, but was it a whisper? Was the discernment there? Was the spirit there for you to be able to see what happened? But this is the value of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. His name is the discrimination. Farrakhan, one who deciphers good from evil and gives us a discernment within where if we study what Allah is doing through him enough, we would develop the discernment in the atmosphere where even if somebody try to drop something evil in, it gets burnt up. But because now we moving on the speed of Farrakhan. So if I'm getting hit with things and I can't tell, then I need to up my study. I need to up my prayer. I need to up my work because the only way I can be saved is to reflect enough of the mind of Christ to where I'm protected. This is why Miriam, she was the type of woman that even when the angel came to her and said, I bring you good news of a pure boy, she said, I seek refuge in Allah. What was she doing? She was seeking the wisdom of God that she had to make sure, is this angel who he said he is? This is how important it is for the woman to have that wisdom within. She even got to discern those who are righteous that come. So I won't go no further than that. This is a hard work. And we got a lot of work to do. And the main thing we have to do is submit, family.
Yes, sir. Let's go to close out with Sister Sherelle. Is she still here? Yep, I see her. You just on mute. I don't hear anything. Sister Sherelle, you still there? Well, all right. Well, last thing that stands out for me is the minister said, what purpose? When he was speaking about is it effective and have we become overcome? He mentioned, what is your purpose? And one of the things I'm learning about studying and learning about learning is that whenever we are looking into something, we should look at it from the standpoint of how we can apply it. Not just listening just to listen. Like we should be intentionally listening for how we can apply it to our lives. The minister said when he talked about being overcome, he talked about viewing the actions. He said, look at the actions of the young people, look at the actions of the leadership. So that even pertains here. If we come here every morning just to get a good word, but we're not focused and thinking about how we can apply it to make ourselves better, not just so that we can tell everybody else what they need to do, but ourselves better, we still be overcome. We can get this word every day. We can come on here 3 times a day. But if we're not applying it and seeing how what he's saying is aligned with things I can improve, then we're not getting better as a people. So I do have to go. It's 9 o'clock. I do want to address some things. I got a few questions I need to answer. So one question says, I wanted to know about the agenda because, okay, let me close out first.